All right. Welcome to all those tuning in today for another TezTalks Live. As the holidays are approaching, all of us here in the States, we hope everyone stays safe and gets to enjoy it. But for today's show, we have Alessandro de Carli of Papers, and he's going to take some time to discuss what Papers has been doing for the Tezos ecosystem and also get into a demo later. Alessandro, how's everything going?
Hey there, William. Everything is fine, thank you. You can see in Switzerland it's already dark. Days are very short, but yeah, Christmas is coming, so exciting times.
And for all of you watching from the Northeast, good luck shoveling today with a foot and a half of snow that hit the East Coast of the U.S. So exciting times for us today. We're happy to be here and happy to show the audience some exciting product demos today too.
Yep, it was actually snowing last night here too. But as usual for today's stream, we have myself, William McKenzie, and Kenneth Garofalo of Tezos Commons who will be hosting today's event, and we'll also be giving away another Tezos branded Ledger Nano S. Ken, you can discuss a bit more about that if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a really cool thing that Tezos Commons is able to provide to the community. So for all you guys watching right now, stay tuned. We're going to give a keyword right before we go into a product demo. You'll have to type this keyword into the YouTube chat, and we will have a Nightbot select at random a winner, and then will provide further instructions for how that winner will claim the prize thereafter. So stay tuned for that keyword, guys.
Yep, and, be on the lookout for it. So I guess we can go ahead and get started. Alessandro, for those unfamiliar with you, can you tell us all a bit about yourself and get into your background?
Yeah, sure. So hello, everyone that does not know me yet. My name is Alessandro de Carli, and I'm one of the co-founders of Papers. Papers is the company behind AirGap. And my role has always been a very technical role. I started my career as a mobile security engineer working for large financial institutions, and then we realized quite quickly that this is something where we can offer services, and yeah, we started developing mobile security solutions for large banks about 10 years ago with Papers. And then at some point, since also from my academic studies, I was dragged more and more into Bitcoin and developing wallets for Bitcoin. We wanted to combine the expertise that we managed to collect from countless security reviews working on banking projects, and actually use that expertise and give it away to the crypto community, and started developing applications like AirGap.
So Alessandro, it's kind of interesting. You kind of noted a little bit from your studies you were exposed to Bitcoin, but I'm wondering what really got you involved with the Tezos ecosystem? What was the biggest draw that you said, all right, Papers needs to change its focus to building out security and products and platforms for Tezos?
So it's funny you ask that, because yeah, when Papers first built the first wallets, those were all on Bitcoin, and basically they were the first wallets that were using what today is called the Lightning Network. We were working together also with Christian Decker on implementing those, because the use case was basically to be able at the cafeteria of the university to purchase your coffee with Bitcoin without it being called after you receive it. And so that sparked a lot of interest and attention into developing mobile applications in this space, and also it brought me to more and more looking for projects that were looking how to actually expand the blockchain technology with more concepts. And long story short, what I found very, very interesting about Tezos was definitely the governance model, because basically you could, because I saw all these various and very valid projects coming up with state channels, the first use case that I was very interested, and then many others having also better higher level languages and so on and so forth. And then Tezos came along and basically saying, yeah, well, you should actually have a way to govern those upgrades and govern those features. And if you have that, basically you can build on that platform, and the platform will be actually evolving with the use cases that are growing on top of it. And I managed actually to also experience that in first person this year. We will be talking about the Ecoo project later on. But basically, when we started this project, fees were quite a big issue, even though the fees were quite low on Tezos, since we were onboarding in a whole city, which for Swiss standards, it's a larger city with 25,000 inhabitants, which for a US city is like no city. But yeah, long story short, the fees were a huge issue, and then I started complaining about it, and after, or in time for the actual launch of the platform Ecoo, the Delphinet came along and basically slashed those fees. And of course, I also already optimized the code, and in the end, I ended up with something that is very, very viable and scalable in terms of costs.
Yeah, that's really interesting to note. So not only was this governance aspect intriguing to you, but what that governance aspect led to was Delphinet, right? The reduction of fees by almost 75%. And we'll get into why that's important for your product later on here when we get into Ecoo. But right now, I want to tease the audience a little bit. We have a special announcement for a product that was previously online that is now back online. So why don't you go ahead and reveal what that is exactly?
Sure. So this is actually the one of the personal projects that I do together with Andy, which is also on the AirGap team during our free time, and it's the TezButton. And basically, what TezButton is, I can also show it if we want to show it directly. What the TezButton is, it's a smart contract governed dApp that allows the user to press a button. So it's on TezButton.io. And it showcases something that Andy has, I believe, already showed on this TezTalk a couple of episodes back, namely Beacon. And what you see here is the TezButton, this blue button, and whoever presses that button will pay in to the pot, which at the moment is 106 XTZ, will pay in 0.2 XTZ and become the new leader. And once you are the new leader, if the countdown that you see up here actually drops to 0, you will be able to claim the entire pot. So there are no fees that come to us. The entire pot then goes to whoever is the last person. And we relaunched it actually today, TezButton, because it already was running in summer. And someone already managed to actually claim the pot back then. And the reason why we restarted it is we felt like the pot back then was like 25 XTZ. So we said, okay, let's sponsor 100 XTZ so that people might be more interested to actually join and make sure that the timeout never hits 0. And I can actually show how this looks like and how it works. If you have a beacon-enabled wallet, it's very easy. This, by the way, is entirely governed by a smart contract on the Tezos blockchain, and you're also paying into that smart contract. If you click here on the button, you will be prompted for this QR code that you can scan with your beacon-enabled wallet, so either a Thanos wallet or also, in this case, now I'm using the AirGap wallet. And once it is paired, the person, and this is sadly the thing that you don't see on here because it is on my side, the person that actually clicked the button will be prompted, and then they can pay into the spot and become the new leader.
So this is actually really cool. What it reminds me of, the thing that I can compare it to most is these online bidding websites that might have like a bicycle, right? And you bid 20 cents in 20-cent increments, and there's a countdown clock, and if no one bids for an hour and you're the last bidder, well, then you win the bike for whatever price it was. Maybe it's only a few cents or less of the value. So I could see this being used in other formats, and it's cool that even someone from the audience here, The Spot, said that TezButton is actually what inspired them to learn programming. So this is a really cool project, a social experiment on the Tezos blockchain. And I would encourage everyone watching to go to the website here, TezButton.io, and take your shot at interacting with the contract and seeing if you can win the generous 100 Tez that's in there now. And it will be growing. The more people that press the button, the more Tez gets deposited. So pretty cool. I like this a lot.
Yeah, and the other thing is also the time actually gets shorter and shorter the more people participate. So that's also, at some point, the timeout will be just for 5 minutes. So it will become more and more interesting.
Keep an eye on that, guys. It could be a free lunch out there for someone.
Yes, let's hope.
Yeah, so I guess we can go ahead and circle off from that and kind of get into the history of papers a bit, Alessandro. So you all have about 10 years experience, with building out these mobile security solutions to large financial institutions. Can you kind of describe to the audience how you've used your expertise and knowledge that you've collected during this time for improving security in these large corporations?
Yes, so basically the team started off with just 4 consultants. Those are the 4 co-founders of the company. And what we saw working before for a bank, and then later on also for a large reinsurance company over here in Switzerland, was that these small mobile devices, which are actually full-fledged computer by now, had the potential to really deal with very, very important information. So be it information that relationship managers for high net worth individuals would need to access, or be it your e-banking, where you perform the transactions. And this platform also came with a lot of opportunities, but also a lot of new threats and new attack vectors. And the cool thing about working with larger banks was that you would really see like everything. As a matter of fact, there is no such thing as 100% security, because you can still have phishing attacks, which nowadays are very, very elaborated. And the way that this was handled in the bank was basically we were measured on the amount that the bank would have to pay back its users in case they were hacked. So the bank sets aside money so that if a person loses access to their e-banking or a transaction, malicious transaction happens, so that they can just pay back that person, because otherwise people would feel that the bank is unsafe if this person would, let's say, go to the media, and the damage would be way bigger than whatever they have to pay back. And the really interesting thing about this was to see how, because we, with such a small company, would never get otherwise the exposure to all of those various attack vectors and various ways of how larger corporations deal with those. And I believe this was really one of the most interesting parts. And then later on, of course, replicating the knowledge and accumulating more use cases, see what other companies are struggling with, what their security requirements are, what their attack vectors are, and then basically performing a cross product and reusing that as a value proposition for the next customer.
Yeah, that's all very interesting. Touching back onto some of these large corporations you've worked with, I believe you all have worked with Credit Suisse on the development of a mobile security framework for them.
Yes, so large part of the team actually has been working on the mobile security framework. That's basically the framework that was used within the bank for all of the applications, be it internal applications, but also banking applications, so external applications.
So on this this mobile security framework, it's important to note the bank actually reviewed and audited this stuff that you're working on up to 10 times a year. So I mean, quite a lot of money was spent into making sure the work that you've done was accurate and up to par with what they needed. So it's just important to know that that expertise that you and the company gained during that period, or continued to gain by working with these large banks and corporations, you're bringing that security expertise into the Tezos ecosystem, where there may not be that kind of expertise that existed beforehand. So you're a very valuable company and person to have within this ecosystem. So maybe we can get some questions from the audience around security and around this topic as well.
Yeah, sure. I would like to answer those questions. I believe we've seen a lot of stuff, but that being said, we're not the only one, the only company bringing value to the ecosystem. I believe you need a mixture of many companies, and gladly there are many companies as well that are very good and working in the Tezos ecosystem.
Absolutely. And so getting back into your focus within the Tezos ecosystem. So you have a few products here. We're going to sort of touch on each of the products one by one, and you can give a little bit of explanation of what this product is. Say someone watching is just hearing for this product for the first time. So we'll start with the wallet AirGap. Can you just give me just a brief overview? We won't do any demos with AirGap, but just an explanation of what it is and why it's important, and with the vault and the wallet being separate.
Yeah, so basically we helped quite a lot of companies during this ICO hype also to come up with strategies to perform self-custody over their funds. And what we've seen also while supporting people that contributed to those crowdfunding events, that actually having secure self-custody solutions was not something that was a given. Actually, it was very, very difficult to I mean, there are a lot of wallets, but not all wallets have the same level of security that comes with them. And if you had managed to get funds that you deemed as being a large amount of funds, then you actually were seeking for this level of security. And the usual go-to solution was to just buy some peace of mind by buying hardware. However, the problem with most hardware wallets is that they're still physically connected over a cable connection, for instance, to the computer, and the computer can have a Trojan horse, and there are various side channel attacks options that you can still perform on those hardware wallets. So long story short, what we took a look at was how can we make available to consumer the concept of air gapping. So air gapping is the concept of having the thing that is dealing with your cryptographic secrets entirely and physically separated from any machine whatsoever that can connect to the internet. And this is when we said, okay, now we have mobile devices that basically all have a hardware security module inside of them, very, very solid and battle-tested devices. Why not just use a device like that? And so we came up with this either two device, two apps concept, where one app has by design not the option and not the permission to go to the internet. And if you want to, you can even put that on an entirely offline device. And this application will then communicate with another application that can perform and prepare for you the transactions. And this communication can happen also over QRs. So it's entirely visible for you what is being exchanged. That is AirGap in a little bit longer than a nutshell.
Yeah, and I think, that raises some questions from the audience here. The piece you mentioned where the ledger or the hardware device for a wallet still has to connect physically to a computer. I guess a question from the spot here, can there be an attack that happens when there is a physical connection from your ledger to your computer? I know you probably don't want to go into too much detail revealing how this hack is possible, but maybe just some commentary around that.
Yeah, sure. So, there are a lot of resources also on YouTube on this, but what these kind of attacks are called, it's side channel attacks. And basically what you're doing is by reading the power consumption of a device that does not have an own power supply, like the ledger, by reading the USB port power consumption, you can, while the ledger is computing and accessing your private key, derive the actual private key material, or even or just limit the spectrum where you have to search and brute force for that private key. So basically, this is similar to someone being in another room, and because that person is not talking, because that person is talking quite loudly, you can hear what they're saying. And it's basically that kind of attacks that are possible. However, that being said, the ledger is a very valid hardware security module, and if you're using an offline computer, then of course there is no such it's not problematic to use that piece of hardware.
I mean, that's extremely interesting insights. And from someone speaking myself, I suffered a hack earlier this summer. I'm constantly looking for ways to improve my own security methods. So now, listening to you, I'm going to use an AirGap method instead of using the ledger, for instance, going forward, just for increased security. And you're someone who knows the ins and outs of this from your experience. So it's great value to listen to what you have to say on this topic. And I think that's appreciated from the people listening in the audience as well. So with that being said, I think we'll move on to the next product here. Will, if you want to intro that.
Yeah, sure. So lots of great questions around AirGap, but I know we had Andreas on earlier in the year, but would you mind kind of giving a brief overview for those who may not be aware of Beacon?
Sure. So the intuition or idea behind Beacon is that dApps need a way to interact with a blockchain, and usually the way they interact with that blockchain is by performing some sort of transactions. And transactions require the user to sign them, because otherwise they will not be accepted by the blockchain. And this raises the problem of where are you going to store the private key material, and for an easy interaction, because you have two problems, right? One is you want to have a user experience that is as seamless as possible, and the other one is you don't want to compromise on security too much, because people might be also storing their funds on that private key. And what Beacon does is basically it allows the user to choose whichever wallet they want to use. So you've seen before in the TezButton that you could choose which wallet you want to use to pair with that specific dApp. And once it's paired, whenever you interact with a dApp and you try to create transactions, it will generate a message that is then pushed all the way down to your wallet. And the wallets are now following the standard called TZIP10. And if the dApp is also following that standard, it is automatically compatible and very easy to use. And Taquito actually is already integrating this. So if you are a dApp developer, you don't have to care about any of the wallet problematics and how to store securely the private keys.
So essentially, it's basically just connecting dApps to wallets.
Yes, it's the bridge between dApps and wallets, and we explicitly tried not to go the MetaMask approach, where your private key would then just sit again on a computer that has internet connection inside your browser.
Yeah, and I think we just saw an instance earlier this week where the Nexus CEO had an issue with his MetaMask compromising his private key, and I think there was some sort of bait and switch that happened where the guy ended up losing millions of dollars. So it's interesting that you're thinking of these unique solutions to sort of put a gap in those security breaches. So again, if the audience hasn't heard yet, the keyword for the giveaway is !Beacon, capital B. Enter that in the chat. You only need to enter that once to qualify, and we will announce the winner for this after we do the Ecoo demo, which is coming up soon, guys. So stay tuned here. We're just going to get through one more product description, and this is going to be Hypergate, and then we'll get into Ecoo. So what is Hypergate, and a little bit of commentary on that for us.
Sure. Hypergate is actually the least related to blockchain. The product that is least related to blockchain, and also the product that is the most far away from the Tezos ecosystem. What Hypergate does is, in a nutshell, for enterprise customers, you can basically perform seamless single sign-on. You don't have to enter any credentials to access enterprise resources. And I will just leave it with that, because I don't believe it is the most exciting for this audience.
Okay, excellent. And we did have a question on the AirGap technology. Chris from the chat is wondering, is this proprietary to just Tezos?
So no, but I have to say that Tezos is the best integrated, definitely. So we support also other chains on AirGap, like, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, then Cosmos, Polkadot, and others. I mean, you can download the application and then you will see. However, I have to say that the best integration is with Tezos.
Okay, and so now I think it's a great time that we transition into the demo of Ecoo. Will, I don't know if you want to intro this. You wrote a great article out there on Medium explaining, the ins and outs of what Ecoo is. So if you have anything to lead into this demo.
Yeah, sure. So I'll post that article in the chat, but essentially, Ecoo, it's basically a pilot program, to my understanding, designed to kind of onboard some local residents and businesses suffering from COVID-19 um, through giving each resident in this town of Wedzikon, I hope that's correct, 10 Swiss francs. So I think that translates to about 280,000 USD. But Alessandro, if you'd like to pick that up and kind of dive a bit more into that, you're more than free to do so.
Perfect. Yeah, so I think that was a pretty good intro, actually. The city of Wetzikon approached us and asked. So basically, the city of Wetzikon was looking for solutions on how to support the local economy in Wetzikon. So they have own shops, bakeries, and whatnot. And because they knew that they were hit pretty bad because of this COVID-19 situation, and they decided, or explicitly then decided not to go with a paper coupon solution, but wanted to go with a more modern, more digital approach. So we papers together with Duda and Farner decided then to kickstart this project, and it turned out to be a mobile payment solution that can, in the end, well, you can issue currency that is bound to either a specific purpose or a specific time frame or a specific location. And in this case, it's bound to a specific time frame and a specific location. Only the citizens of Wetzikon will be able to redeem those 10 francs, and only the shops in Wetzikon are able to actually collect those 10 Swiss francs. And the cool part about it, from more like a geeky perspective, is that everything is running on the Tezos blockchain, and we're using this technology called meta transactions, which allows the user to actually perform instant transactions and not to have to pay for the Tezos fees themselves. So we are paying for the fees, and the user does not need to hold any Tez as of now. However, they know, because the application shows that this is running on the Tezos blockchain, and we hope that maybe they will also then join the community. However, at the moment, they are just receiving this 10 Swiss francs, and yeah, a total of 280,000 Swiss US dollar have been now distributed to those people. And like this, you can then support local bakeries, restaurants, and whatnot. But I think usually what we say is talk is cheap, show me the code. So it's easier if I can show to the audience also how the application looks like. The demo will be not too long because it is a very, very simple application. I hope that now my phone came up. So it's an application for Android and iOS, and you can, it's basically a wallet. You have the same application for consumers as well as for the businesses. So if we look here on the left-hand side, you have a wallet that is green, that's for the consumer, and a wallet that is blue, that's for the business. And they have all IDs. We abstracted away the actual Tezos address for this, and people can then just start to pay and interact with those. Because if we take a look at here the actual business wallet, you can, and I'm sorry that it is in German, but sadly people are not all speaking English in the town of Wetzikon. But what this button here says is to cash in, and basically you can say the amount that you want to create, and it will just generate this QR that you will then be able to scan with the other consumer wallet. So over here, I could then go and start scanning that. Or I can also just type the actual wallet ID, which I do in this case, and I've written it down somewhere because I usually forget it. So it was DL something something. Oh yes, here it is.
So important to note, you are paying the fees on all of these transactions, and that's why it was so important when Delphi hit and reduced the fees on Tezos by over 75%. So really cool thing here.
Yes, exactly. So what you just saw is also this instant transaction functionality. You saw two pop-ups come up. One that was confirming that the money was sent, and then immediately, because both wallets are on the same device, you also saw the confirmation that the money actually has arrived. And these meta transactions get then, after we have a few, get batched and then put onto the Tezos blockchain. And the other cool thing is also the entire validation of the transaction is still performed by performing this apply method on an RPC. So one can say that on an RPC of a Tezos node, so one can say that it is 100% governed, still governed by that specific smart contract. And I mean, if we have some technical folks, it would be interesting for them to see the actual transactions, how they look like on the Tezos blockchain. This is Better Call Dev, a fantastic explorer for developers, smart contract developers. And here you can see these meta transfers. And these are the ones that we batch together. And you can see how every single person has signed the own transaction.
So transactions are in one batch. Do you have a threshold?
So we can put up to 500 transactions at the moment. Here we are now with 16. We do regularly sync them or also apply them to the blockchain. However, we could do it less regularly and still save more on gas. But if you take a look at this one here, it's 0.15 Tez for now 16 transactions. The thing is, batching really helps a lot, because you will also notice that that here we have 6 transactions, and compared to the other, which was 16, we're paying 10. So yeah, the more you batch, you will actually be able also to bring that down, that cost more. But for us, we have just a daily limit that we have.
I'd like to just point out and say for the audience that this is pretty cool, and also a pretty big deal for targeting a mass or larger non-crypto user demographic, because as we all know, crypto is still super early, and through the use of these meta transactions, not only is the settlement instantaneous from using these digital vouchers, but people are also interacting with Tezos without even knowing they're doing it.
And exactly, and I believe that's also how it should be. I mean, I personally like to understand how everything works from every piece of technology that I possess. I really want to understand how the logic works behind, but not everybody should have to do that. And up to this point, I believe also that a lot of projects were emphasizing the blockchain aspects almost too much. And in this case, the user does not notice anything about blockchain. However, we have still all the advantages like the auditability and just one specific piece of code that is governing the entire transaction flow. And I think that I personally feel that is how it should be.
Yeah, it can't be said enough. You're not going to get true mass adoption if these applications are too technical or require people to do too many steps. So this is a great example of just that. So I was wondering if you had we have a countdown going here for a winner of the Ledger Nano S. We'll roll that out in a second. Let me just ask one more question. So do you have any statistics for how many people are using this stuff?
Yes, so I can actually look those up. I believe that last time I checked, we were at about 1,800 people that were already doing transactions, and about 100 shops that were accepting those transactions.
Amazing. I mean, those numbers are huge, and everything's auditable on the blockchain as well. So I could see this being used for charities, for other layers of government, right, to provide some layer of transparency, but also a user-friendly application where the end users may not necessarily know they're using this sort of technology. So we have a winner. We have a winner, guys. Will, if you want to go ahead.
Sure. So I don't want to butcher the name, but Anis Tesla C. You are the winner of the Ledger Nano S Tezos branded giveaway. Be sure to send an email over to social@tezoscommons.org, and we're also going to request that you take a screenshot of your YouTube credentials.
Yeah, really cool to give that away. But go ahead, Alessandro.
Yeah, the YouTube credentials are fine, but maybe not your private keys.
Right.
We'll leave that up to the brute force attack, right? So question, we really should be highlighting this. This is $280,000 roughly that was demoed in this Ecoo program. What's next? Are you getting a lot of other governments chopping at the bits to try to test this out with their towns, or any insights on that?
Yeah, so another cool, so there are a couple of, because of course payments is something that is very generic and can be applied to many cases. I believe the real power of this system is that you can perform or create purpose-bound currencies. So either purpose, time, or location-bound currencies. And this opens up a couple of very interesting things like for instance, festivals, which at the moment, of course, are not that relevant because of the situation we're living in. But of course, they will come back. The other thing is also maybe a currency for, and by the way, all these examples that I'm mentioning are actual companies and people that reach out to us with potential projects. The option to have for your company a currency. So why not have this kind of employee loyalty program where you can then own and give away currency that people can redeem at the end of the year. And of course, there are a couple of tourist locations that have this very, I don't know if this is just specific to Switzerland, but they are collecting a sort of tourist tax. And this tourist tax is allows you then to do stuff in that tourist region. You can use public transport for free and so on and so forth. And one idea from one of those places was to actually collect that tourist tax and then give it back in form of that specific currency, so that that person would have to spend it and is only able to spend it in that local village, right? So you can actually make something out of the tax. And it's actually quite clever, because if someone then goes to a shop, that person will use that currency, but then pay also more. And if the person pays more, there's more revenue, and that company pays taxes in that city. So in the end, I believe they will get a multiplier with this sort of concept. And those are really interesting projects that we're now looking into. And I hope that in a couple of months' time, I'll be able to join again this TezTalks and then report back on some of them.
Yeah, really amazing news that these other projects are possibly coming down the pipeline for you, and that this level of transparency and really interaction is something that hasn't been seen before. So this is really cutting edge, guys. And I would encourage all of the audience to go out there and share the article that Will has written, share anything coming out of the paper's dev account. This stuff needs to be more widely publicized. I mean, there's a large amount of money that was transacting through Ecoo, and keep updated on this project and see where it goes down the line. It's just so many use cases that come out of this format in this structure. So I think we're going to just hit a few more questions from the audience, wrap it up. We're going to get Alessandro, where's the best place for people to reach you if they wanted to, say, inquire on having you develop for their project, or just reach out to you in general?
So they can reach out via Twitter or also my email address. So the Twitter handle, or exactly, that's also a very good one, through the AirGap channel, I believe. We will for sure then get in touch.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome to watch Ecoo evolve and, like you said, start to be used within festivals, eventually when this pandemic passes us. But I think we can finish off here with a few questions we did not get to touch on earlier. And both of them are from the user, The Spot. First one he asked was, are you satisfied with the outcome and the results the app has produced? Are you happy with your decision of choosing Tezos as the blockchain of choice?
I will be very, very honest when answering this question, because I believe needs to be answered in an honest way. So I think that at the moment, roughly 10% of the people have joined the program and are actively transacting. Me personally, I would like to see more. Something like 30% would make me very happy. That being said, the numbers are growing, and I believe we will be able to reach those 30%. Also, a lot of the shops that we have there are still brick and mortar shops. So since a lot of people at the moment are staying at home, I think this also has an impact on the actual velocity of transactions that we're seeing. So yeah, the outcome and results of the app so far, I'm happy, because I believe 10% is still something, but I would have had higher ambitions, let's say, to have more people actually join. And am I happy with the decision of choosing Tezos as a blockchain? Definitely. I don't believe that any other blockchain would have heard my feedback on the fees, and I don't know if that was pure luck, but I don't believe so. But the feedback was heard, and those fees were slashed, and I was very happy. And also, if you take a look at the way you can develop smart contracts now on Tezos, it's very, very mature, and I believe it's also easier to write secure smart contracts compared to other platforms. So of course I'm biased because I am in the Tezos community and I'm a huge fan, but I think also, as objectively as I can be, that it was a very good decision.
Right. And someone actually asked another question pertaining to that. I think you may have already answered it, but it's from Kryptonio. He asked, do you believe the Ecoo app could be used in bigger numbers, and is it scalable right now?
I mean, yes, I believe we could accommodate way more transactions. The question is, could we then at some point maybe even replace giants like Visa and MasterCard? We're not there yet. So I think we can accommodate a lot of purpose-bound use cases, and those can have a couple of thousand transactions an hour. That wouldn't be a problem. But I don't. Yeah, so I believe it is scalable, especially also because of this batching approach. We are not we don't have to sync all the time, but can wait a little bit. If there is a huge load, a peak, we can wait and then split up those batches at another point. And I hope to see that kind of numbers that actually start bringing us into sweating. But yeah. So is it scalable? That's a kind of question that is difficult to answer because it depends on what her use case is or his use cases.
Right. So I think everyone really appreciates your honesty and the insights, leaning towards the security side of things as well that you've brought to the table here today, and the introduction of these products and the summary. I'm just going to, make sure everyone goes and checks out tzbutton.io. The website for Papers is papers.ch. You can see a list of all their wonderful products, including Hypergate, Ecoo, AirGap, and Beacon right off that website. And again, the Twitter accounts are AirGap_IT and @PapersDev. I think the AirGap_IT is the most active Twitter account, so you can reach out there, guys. So this was a really great episode. We're happy to have you here, Alessandro, and we want to have you back in the future to hear about more updates for these purpose-driven projects that you're working on. So if anyone wants to see an update on what we're doing here at Tezos Commons, it's tezoscommons.org. You can also see a list of our upcoming guests and scheduled episodes at tezoscommons.org/TezTalks. You can follow us on all of the social media accounts, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, it's all at Tezos Commons. So for myself, for William McKenzie, and for Alessandro, thank you so much for watching, guys. Until next time, take care.
Take care. Thank you.